For those that don't know you, don't have a clue who are you and what do you do?
I am BERG Trades, as they say. I'm 21 years old. I'm a day trader by profession, or whatever you have it. And I would say I am probably defined by the story that made me. Having a lot of resistance from my environment. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate with parents not agreeing with trading. Turning down a massive opportunity, which was for me, Rolls Royce. I was locked into a 4-year degree apprenticeship where they were paying for my degree and paying me good rates, all the good schemes that were involved in working for such a good company as Rolls Royce. And then 9 months in, I quit it for trading, moved full-time to Thailand, became a full-time trader, and I've been doing that for about the last 18 months or so. And I've not looked back once, man. Fully worked out. Obviously it's a risk, as anything is, but I made sure that I did everything I could to make it work, and it's worked out pretty nicely, mate.
At what point then in those 9 months you said, did you actually go, okay, I can actually quit my job now and make it full time? Because I know some people rush the process, quit it before they actually can trade. Some people wait too long. How did you know at that point in time that was it?
Me being a rookie, I actually didn't even want to start Rolls Royce, and I wanted to just quit straight away without even starting, but my parents did not let me do that, and I didn't have the courage to go against them. So I said to myself, well, I'm going to quit in summer then, and I told them that. They thought that I'd try it for 6 months and love it, so I wouldn't quit. They called my bluff, and I said, no, I'm going to do it for 6 months and then I'm going to quit. 6 months in, I had the proof, I had the payouts, I finally got some funding. I made enough profit to cover my losses in trading, so in my eyes, I was profitable, and I just bit the bullet, went against the grain, told them, look, I'm actually going to quit then. I told you I was going to do it, and I actually did it, and they didn't think I was going to do it. But a lot of people do quit too early. A lot of people go all in on trading before they've even got a system, before they've even got proof. I waited to make enough payouts that covered all of my losses in trading. Then I made the jump. Then I made the move.
Everyone likes to talk about the aha moment in trading. Do you feel like you had one, or do you feel like it just came with time?
I think it came with time. I mean, I passed 200Ks with FTMO, and that was kind of an aha moment, but I got too giddy, I got too excited, I risked too much, and I got away with it at the start, but I know if the timing was different, I would have blown those accounts, and that would have set me back so much. There was an element of luck to this, as there is with everything, but I did catch the wave with some high risk plays, and it did pay off in the short term, which obviously treated me nicely. So my aha moment was that first big payout that covered a lot of the losses, to be honest.
Do you feel like you had it within your strategy too? Like once you had it locked and you knew you weren't changing?
Once I realised the concept of, if you even guessed market direction, you were right 50% of the time. And if you had semi-decent timing and you just did a fixed strategy, 3 risk to reward for instance, so every time I win 3 times more than I'm losing. Even if I'm guessing bias and getting half decent timing on the entry, I would be profitable just due to probability. So I knew that I didn't even really need much of an edge. The probability and the fixed aspect of me doing the same thing every time was my edge, and that was my aha moment, because I realised that if I literally just do set and forget 1 to 3 risk to reward, I'm going to be profitable at some point anyway, because you don't even need to be profitable in an RR game perspective to make money with these prop firms. You just need a good win streak and good risk management to get paid out.
Do you feel like before you found that and you realised that, there was moments where you're like, I can't do this anymore, it's too much, I'm losing too much, I just want to quit?
Definitely, bro, yeah. For me, used to change my strategy every week. Every time I'd get on a 1-2 loss streak, I would end up blowing the account. If my balance wasn't at peak, I would be depressed. I.e., if it wasn't the highest it's ever been, I would be depressed. I didn't pass a single phase 1 until I moved to a mechanical strategy. I spent pretty much a whole year, wasted 10k on funded accounts before finding out about fixed rules, and I couldn't handle having the dictation of whether I would use X, Y, and Z confluence, whether I would use X, Y, and Z time frame. I would reset my journal. Every time I broke my plan, I'd wipe it, let's start fresh. I would only ever have max 5 or 6 trades on a journal at one time, because every time I went against my plan, which was every week, I would clear it and act like it's a new day and buy a new account, and they were always 100Ks.
So going forward in time a little bit, you've quit your job, you've moved out to Thailand and stuff. How did TTC actually start? Because I know a lot of people are in the dark about that.
It started as a passion project, to be honest. Just made a free Discord group, jumped on some live calls, trying to educate people on my philosophies of using fixed risk to reward, using fixed risk, using fixed confluences, and just trying to give people a place where, if you're a failed discretionary trader and you can't do the ICT stuff and you can't do the supply and demand stuff, you had a place to come where there is another option, there is another solution, and I made it work, and I could show you that it worked, and I could show you all of my trades, because I've always been transparent about that, and that will give you and them in that time motivation and inspiration to go, you know what, I'm going to give day trading another shot. But this time, I'm going to do it with a different approach, an approach that fits my mentality. Because my whole philosophy is, if psychology is the hardest part about day trading and staying consistent is the hardest part about day trading, then why not trade a strategy where there is pretty much no psychology? Obviously, you need psychology to be able to follow the rules in the first place, but you don't need to do any analysis. So, way how TTC started is I wanted to create a common ground for people with that belief, or people that felt like that path was for them. And then it kind of spiraled and became what it is now. We have a really super tight-knit community where we're all grinding, we're all following the same system and model. So when one of us loses, pretty much all of us lose. And then when we're all winning, we're all winning.
How do you then deal with the pressure? Because obviously it's not just you that loses now, or I suppose it wins too. But, you know, when people are trading mechanically on the model that you've built, how do you deal with the pressure of people, you know, not seeing the vision?
It's not easy, but everything is a daily struggle, and every day there's a unique challenge. Obviously, there's going to be people that haven't yet built up their trading mindset, and it's not their fault that they're not at the point of mastery yet. So I can't blame them for feeling bad or putting their negativity onto me. I've just got to obviously stand tall and show them that, look, mate, this is completely normal. Look at my data. I'm also catching these losses. This is what I'm doing to prevent devastating damage, i.e. risk diversification and stuff like that, right? I.e. risk diversification, pair diversification, and all the rest of it. It's not their fault, and I know that it's not their fault. As long as I can teach them the way of mental mastery with staying stoic, understanding that with a mechanical model, there's going to be trades that you don't want to take that you have to take. Sometimes they're going to win, sometimes they're going to lose. There's going to be periods where you do get chopped out. Maybe you're going against what you think bias is, but on a mechanical perspective it says the opposite. That might feel quite difficult to trade through those periods. And with our model as well, we get in bursts. We have like 15 or 12 or 13 hour months. Then for the hybrid, you might get 2 or 3 -3 hour months. And in those slower, lower R periods, obviously those people that want fast progress do struggle with that. But as long as I lead by example, everything's okay.
Do you ever stop and really think about the impact that you've had on some people? Because I'll be real, you are out here changing lives. Pretty humble about it. Do you ever stop and think like, what
Not at all, because I just like to keep it moving. I think maybe, yeah, in winning periods, because I see both sides of the coin. In winning periods, everyone thinks I'm a god and I've created the best model of all time. And in losing periods, everyone jumps ship and says that it's the worst model of all time. And that's with any trader teaching any strategy. The issue with mechanical day trading is that I can't blame you for having the wrong perception like a lot of these discretionary traders do. I can't make up a reason of why you lost because you've taken the same trade as me, as you should, because it's a fixed model. Now, the challenges that this comes with is, number one, like I said, you're going to cry when you lose, but you do boost my morale when you win. So I kind of stay in the middle, to be honest. I don't really focus on the changing lives aspect. I do understand that my methodology and my philosophy has helped so many traders become profitable and pass accounts when they never thought they could have, gain the confidence that they never dreamed they would have. But they are the ones that made the decision to put one step in front of the other and find the right information. They're the ones doing the hard work, so I can't really take responsibility for their efforts.
Alright, so I have some questions here from the boys actually in the Discord that go a bit deeper, some of the guys you've helped and stuff. Max.Lloyd, he said, now that you reach financial freedom, what's the main goal you're chasing or striving towards?
More financial freedom. Financial access freedom, to be honest. I really have a dream about getting the dream car, the dream watch and retiring my parents, and I'm not there yet. I've maybe got myself to a point where I can handle myself and my close circle quite comfortably, but I want to be able to handle the wider circle. I want to be able to take care of my parents. I'm shooting for much bigger goals, to be honest. So just focusing on non-monetary goals as well, because now I have the monetary aspect, I'm a little bit less stressed when it comes to money, but I now want to strive for more, build something real like the TTC, build a passion project like the TTC, build up the community, build up the socials, build up the spread of knowledge, and overall just build a common place where people that with the same philosophies as me and the same opinions as me, we can go back and forth and we can share those ideas and create a good environment.
So this kind of relates to that anyway, but pick 676 or Riley, I asked the boys the same question, but he said, what's something that gives your life depth rather than just direction?
I would say building something that you contribute towards every day that does actually grow, like Harv behind the camera, building him up and trying to teach him everything that I know about the game, about life, about things that I've come through. I'm not saying I know more than him about life, but we can at least share differences and different experiences, and same with Cole and same with Curly and same with everyone in the Discord, just contributing towards a growth of perspective and a growth of knowledge in a community aspect, and just trying my best to be the best person I can be and just chase personal mastery, whether that be through monetary, physical, mental, anything, just trying to be the person that my younger self would be proud of and that my future children would be proud of as well. So I would say what gives me depth is the chasing of that, and knowing that perfection may be impossible, but that doesn't mean I don't need to not strive for perfection.
He also asked, so this is kind of two things. It's an expectation here. He said, how do you stay grounded and grateful when life feels easy? And would you actually say life feels easy?
I would say that I fundamentally understand that. For instance, within trading, when life feels easy, the model, June, July, May, March, February, September, these big, really big winning months, it feels like I could put down any trade and it would win. But I understand and I remember and I refer back to my journal that in losing months, it feels like hell. In losing months, it feels like no trade will work. In losing months, it feels like the model's broken. But every time we get rebalanced and every time it then feels easy. So I try to balance myself by looking at my journal entries and going, this is how my mental was in winning periods. This is how my mental is in losing periods. Where's that happy medium? Where can I find myself to rebalance myself to understand that overconfidence can lead to destruction and underconfidence can also lead to destruction. So I just try to balance myself, because when everything feels easy, you need it to feel medium, and when everything feels hard, you need it to feel medium as well. So feeling that medium range is always better for growth, in my opinion.
Right, so you have spoke about this a few times, to be fair, in your videos and in the Discord calls, but German Spy said, were your parents positive about trading when you told them you wanted to trade? So I know you have quite an interesting story on that.
When I told them I wanted to trade, they obviously took no notice. I told them I wanted to do copywriting, Amazon FBA, build businesses and all of this, and they would obviously just brush it off because it's a pipe dream. I had no real results, I had no real effort, there was no action taken, there was just dreams. So they probably forgot about it when I first told them. However, when I started making more progress, when I started taking it more seriously, when I started to have these passion rants about how I didn't want to do this mainstream path, how I wasn't built for a 9 to 5, how they provided me an amazing life, but I said to them, I want more, I don't think this is that good, I want higher ceilings, and obviously they took offence to that, which I get why, and they got offended at the perspective I held, and they put me down and said that it wasn't going to work, and saying that that would be the stupidest decision that I'd ever make. But overall, that gave me fuel to the fire, so I pushed through it, I went against the grain, and it made me turn up the effort times 10. I was literally a dog. I was working 3 jobs at the time. I was still going gym, still trading, still trying to build, still trying to make some really good progress in my life. And if I didn't have that resistance, then maybe I wouldn't have turned up the heat so hard, and then I wouldn't have made the decisions that I've been making towards my goals today. So I'm overall grateful for having a different and a difficult family situation where they didn't necessarily support me, and I'd maybe pour out tears every night to them saying that it's going to work, and then saying back to me that I have no proof. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that, but if you do have that situation, that's a gift, man. That's a gift, because if you had an easy situation, you'd probably take a back seat, you'd probably drop it down a gear. But when you have those hard situations, when you have those difficult family environments, that is what gives you motivation, and then you have something to fight against. You have an underdog story, which is always better.
Yeah, I feel like it always kind of adds to your story. If you've got someone resisting against you, I mean, it makes it more interesting, and it feels cooler when you actually get to success anyway.
Definitely.
But speaking of success, T.99 said to you, what is success beyond just numbers?
Like I said earlier, that mental gain, that physical gain as well, the building of a community. I have a dream where we have so many traders in villas all around the world that we're just rotating through, and we're constantly connecting with new groups of people, and we're all just kind of remote, and everybody's chilling, and everybody's relying on a good system that they now make money from, and we're all just kind of floating around the world, and we might check in with some guy in Singapore and some guy in the UK or some guy in Asia. That's my dream. So just above numbers, it would be creating that dream into reality by making as many of my VIP boys profitable, so they can do that, so they can leave their job, so they can be comfortable, and so they can finally make some really good progress.
T.99 also said again, he said, what belief did you have to kill in yourself to actually start winning? Or was there a belief you had to kill, or do you feel like you was...
There was constant doubt in the entire way. I wanted to quit every day, but also I wanted to succeed equally every day, so I never did quit. There's always going to be back and forths with you and your mind. I don't really know how to answer that question, but it was just more of a gradual killing of certain beliefs and killing of certain lifestyle habits and behaviours and things that I would fall into. Not saying that I'm perfect now, but I've killed a lot of that normality, a lot of that lack of obsession that I had early doors. I had to kill, because I had to realise that in order to be a day trader, I had to be a professional. In order to be profitable, I had to be consistent. And if I wanted to be a professional and consistent, I needed to be obsessed, and I couldn't be normal. Normal people aren't professionals, normal people aren't consistent. So I had to just kill the normality. I had to kill that normal view of how somebody that is born into a normal life with normal goals would feel. I had to be so ambitious and so delusional that it worked out.
Yeah, I feel like if you're doing something, like for you boys that are watching this, you're probably trading and you're having those back and forth thoughts. I mean, it's a good thing. If you was just, sailing through life pretty easy, you're not going to have those thoughts. You're not going to think about giving up or anything like that. So it's a good thing. It's a sign that you're doing the right thing. To finish it off, ask Curly and Cole this question too. But if you could speak to the guy you were before all of this, what's one piece of advice you would tell him? AKA, like, someone that's kind of just joined, just started trading, what would you say to him?
I would say it all worked out and it all will work out. So if you try harder than you're currently trying, it will work out even more. For me, I thought I was trying my hardest, but I know I could be optimizing more. I know I could have been working at a better rate. I know I could have been more efficient with my thoughts. I know I could have killed these negative low vibration behaviors a lot more than I already did. If with my work rate that I provided to myself throughout the last 3 years was as it was, I know if I provided a higher win rate, a higher work rate, I would have had more funding, I would have had more payouts, I would have had bigger live accounts, I would have changed more lives. So if I was to give any advice, although some people say, well, I'm so glad how it went, so I wouldn't change a thing, I would change a thing and I would try much harder, put in much more effort, care about less people's opinions, and overall just put the blinders on more and cut out the noise to more nerds that don't deserve my attention. Right, you've had time to ask me some questions now. Now it's time for me to ask you some questions that you can journal and answer to yourself. You don't need to make these public, and I wouldn't want you to, but ask yourself these questions and write down your answer, and it'll give you some thought-provoking conversations that you can have inside of your own head. What areas in life do you know that you need to have knowledge on, but you currently don't? Do you think this, right now, the work that you're putting in, the path that you chose, is the run? If yes, why? If no, why? Another one. How can I, me, BERG Trades, help you win more than you currently are? What could I do to help? That'll conclude it for today's Q&A segment as such. I appreciate all the questions that all the VIP boys put forward for this video, and also you guys need to appreciate the questions that I gave to you, because I think that they could change your mind, and I think they'll be able to change current patterns you might be in. You might be thinking that you're hitting the mark in every area of your life, but there's always areas to improve, and I hope that through the questions that I've answered today, you guys can understand that as well. Stay humble, stay stoic, and stay positive, because that's the only way to win long term.